One, two, three. Three count four.
Hello, I am Be Better Gamer. Welcome to Be Better Gamer Wrestling, the channel dedicated to wrestling video games fueled by my love, passion, and obsession for them. I am playing WrestleMania 2000, bringing you another creator wrestler, and I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, especially as a child growing up watching early WWF. He is the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, very fitting to have in WrestleMania 2000. He was gone after WrestleMania 2000 came out. He actually appeared in WCW NWO Revenge, but we all know why. We all know the reasons why, the Montreal Screwjob, and we'll talk all about that later on. But let's get to the call. I'll show you off the appearance first. The profile, moves, fighting style, all that is typed up nice and neat in a Google Docs, Google spreadsheet, I should say, in the description below. So make sure you check the description for that link so you can get the full call. But yeah, let's jump right into it, to the profile. Let's start with attire. In WrestleMania 2000, the attire is on top. Body size 3, and that's the little stocky body size. And then the second, skin tone. Ring attire 39, the same ring attire I use for LOD. I use this ring attire a lot. 0 and 19. 19 is light pink. You also could go with regular pink. You can just do regular number 9 pink. Upper body, tank top, you got 0 and 19. You could just barely see the outline of the pink there as well. And then for entrance attire, you could do this if you want. You don't have to. You can give them shades. It'd be cool if you could give them shades and a leather jacket, but you know, whatever. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Face 38, head 0. Keep the same skin tone, obviously. Hair 1 we have is number 6. Now I did look at how other people had made him in WrestleMania 2000. I like the covered ears look, or the hair covering the ears look, I should say. You could also do the hair not covering the ears, but I think it's more fitting. Bret Hart always had kind of like the long, wavy, curly hair. And then for front hair, I had the little curly hair coming down the side. There's other few good options for front hair you can mess around with. So, you know, again, it's all personal preference. Wristband 1, I went with light pink as well, just following through the theme of the pink color I chose. Elbow pad, give them the supporter elbow pads 2, default color 0. Knee pad 2, default color 0. I mean, it's black. You could also do like just regular dark black. It looks the same to me. Here I did a little something different. So a lot of people, these are the boots I chose. 3 with turning them white and then just keeping it default. I saw a lot of people choose these boots, which I call the Jake the Snake boots, and they do look like a lot the boots that Bret Hart wore, especially because of the bottom black and then the white. I personally do not like the way they look in the game when you turn them white, because they are the Jake the Snake Roberts snakeskin boots. So the snakeskin makes the white look a little bit off. And then I'm going to show you, I'm just trying to find it right now, I can't find it, but I'm going to show you the other boots in the game that I wish I could use, because I think they were a little bit better fit. So here you go. I wish I could use these boots, but those black laces, they're just too much. So when you turn it white, I wish I could turn those black laces white and keep the bottom black. Those boots are a little bit shorter than the Jake the Snake boots. And see, there you go, Jake the Snake in the default. Let's go back to it. Jake the Snake in the default colors. You know, when you turn it white, just the texture throws it off for me. So I'm not crazy about it, but you could use it if you want. I see a lot of people go that route. So I just keep it with the regular white boots. If you look in WCW NWO Revenge, he's actually just has the regular white boots. So, you know, again, it's all personal preference. And then here with the second outfit, so Bret Hart, I mean, you could just slightly change his outfits, and then you have another outfit. So here we go. Upper body is just pink, and just make that dark black so the black outline comes out a little bit more. And that's it. It's pretty much the same thing as the first outfit. You just change the tank top pink. And then the third outfit, now we're going with the all pink look. And these are all kind of like loosely based on some of his appearances. Like this, I like to say, is like his WrestleMania match against Roddy Piper, his all pink look. He used to wear a lot of all pink when he was with the Hart Foundation. So you just make it all light pink. And again, the black outline and then the tights all pink as well. And you can also change the knee pads to be all pink, just as a through line. You could also put black knee pads. I've seen him do all pink with black knee pads, with white wristbands. Again, a little slight variations on all the outfits, and you got yourself a nice little Bret Hart secondary outfit. This is I call this my versus Owen Hart in a steel cage outfit, because now I made the pink darker. That's pretty much why I did this one dark pink and the other one light pink, just, you know, sort of referencing other matches. You could also do light pink for the ring attire in this outfit as well. Again, just slight little changes for Bret Hart. Very easy to make, I think, especially, you know, when you look at that he was in WCW NW Revenge. You know, he comes off pretty well in WrestleMania 2000, I think. I've seen people choose slightly different faces, slightly different front hair, but the outfits are pretty much the same. Some people have used like the X-Pac tank tops and things like that. I like to keep it basic. And there you go, Bret Hart with his revenge call. So let me know what you think about the appearance, any little changes you've made. Again, it's all personal preference. This is not how you should make Bret Hart. This is sort of just like, you know, a base work for you to work with, or a base for you to work with, I should say, to get you started. But I hope you like it. As always, with my calls, I jump into a match to talk about the call itself, to talk about the game, to talk about the wrestler. And make sure you check the description below to get the full call. But let's jump right into it. Full disclosure, I did not unlock Shawn Michaels yet. This is brand new, fresh, you know, untouched Road to WrestleMania copy of WrestleMania 2000. So I'm going to go against Stone Cold. Bret Hart against Stone Cold. They had the classic match at WrestleMania. I mean, obviously, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels had the classic match at WrestleMania as well. And then they also had the Survivor Series match and all these matches they had. Here we go, Bret Hart coming out in the fake WrestleMania 2000 arena. I think it's really funny that they don't have the WrestleMania arena. They just have the WrestleMania with the 2000 on it, which is interesting. And full entrances. I love coming back to WrestleMania 2000 because we get the full entrances. When I make Bret Hart and No Mercy, unfortunately, I won't have a full entrance. They don't have his entrance taunts, though. They don't have the same taunts that he would use in Revenge, which I thought was very interesting. And we got Stone Cold coming in with his epic entrance, going to each corner. Man, I miss these entrances in WWF No Mercy. That's one of the downsides to No Mercy when you look at it, comparing it to WrestleMania 2000s, is that each entrance is like so unique in this game for each wrestler, and it was such a step up from Revenge with the full entrances, you know, with the music, the Titantron, and it's just so cool to see again. But, you know, Bret Hart, Stone Cold, I mean, if you're watching this video, and I'm pretty sure you know who Bret Hart is, so I'm not going to go, usually when I go through like the history of all these wrestlers, I'm not going to go too much into the history, because I think Bret Hart, to many WWE fans, whether you like them or not, or, you know, whether you love them or hated him, I loved them. You kind of know his history, you kind of know his trajectory. You know, it was a Hart Foundation, then it was his rise as Intercontinental Champion, and then it was his World Champion rise, and then it was the feuds with Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold, and then we had the Montreal Screwjob, and that's pretty much, you know, the story. Obviously, there's a lot there. There's a lot of wealth of history with wrestling and WWF, all centered around Bret Hart. And, you know, he really was the, you know, in a lot of ways, he was the #1 guy to a lot of fans, because he was the workhorse of the company. You had Hogan, you had Macho Man, you had Ultimate Warrior, you had all these very colorful characters. But Bret Hart, when he started rising and becoming put in the main event slot, he was a different breed. He was, you know, it was all about the technical wrestling. It was all about the competition, the sport. He made it look believable, you know, and made the matches look competitive. And it's something that I think that, I wouldn't say he pioneered, but I think in the terms of the WWF style at the time, it was very refreshing to see. And I remember even as a young kid, you know, when I was like 5, 6, I loved Hogan, I loved the Warrior, but I still loved Bret Hart. And as I got older, Bret Hart was always my constant when I started appreciating wrestling matches and the art of wrestling and the moves that each one does and putting a match together and the psychology and all that stuff, when I started learning a little bit more about that, I started really fully appreciating Bret Hart on a whole other level, and I was already a big fan of him. I remember when WrestleMania 12 came around, that was probably one of the biggest pay-per-views to watch as a kid. I was so excited to see Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels 1 hour Iron Man match. It was such a huge event with my dad and my friends, watching the event. And I just remember just being blown away that these two guys were wrestling for an hour. I had 2 full-length posters of each wrestler in my room next to each other, hyping myself up. I pulled it from the WWF magazine. It's like, oh, I don't know who to choose, Bret or Shawn. I was at the end of the day rooting for Bret. And I was upset when Gorilla came out and put 5 more minutes on the match, missing that total dive. Did you see that? I missed that dive right there with Bret Hart. And, even before that, I remember as a kid loving the Survivor Series match. Bret Hart and the Hart family against HBK and the Knights. And it was actually supposed to be Jerry the King Lawler. But Jerry the King Lawler got into big trouble because he had a court case about sleeping with an underage girl. And the court case was eventually thrown out. But that messed up his appearance at Survivor Series, and therefore they had to replace Shawn Michaels. And it's funny looking back, I remember there was a very early match where Bret Hart fought Shawn Michaels. It was champion versus champion, I believe, and they had a great match. And Bret talks about it in his book. I mean, they've talked about it at length, their feud, their rivalry, how personal it became, but they started out being very good friends, and they respected each other's work, and they respected each other's craft. Here I go going for the sharpshooter again. So with WWF No Mercy, it's a lot easier to submit people because they really made it. They made it better in a way that when you work on someone's body part, eventually they're gonna stop moving and trying to reach for the ropes, and you can just make them tap when you've worked on them long enough. So it's harder to escape when you've done a lot of damage. Whereas in WrestleMania 2000 and Revenge, it's a lot harder to make them tap because they will always go for the ropes. And they go to the ropes so quickly. So here, it's a little bit of a struggle to get Stone Cold to tap. I gotta have him tap to the sharpshooter, in a pool of his own blood, like WrestleMania. I don't think I bust him open here, but you have to make him tap. I changed a lot of moves that Bret Hart did in Revenge, just to make him a little bit more well-rounded. There were some moves he did in Revenge that I honestly didn't think he should be doing. I rarely, if ever, saw Bret Hart do a belly-to-back suplex. There's some stuff that he did, so I took a lot of liberties with his moveset, but I felt like you still got the Russian leg sweep, you still got like the inverted atomic drop, you have so many things that he was known for. And actually I felt like I could have done more moves for him, but ran out of options to do it or to choose it. Here we go, big superplex. And it's crazy because like I think about Bret Hart's legacy in terms of someone, to me, what I always loved about Bret Hart and his legacy in the eyes of myself as like a wrestling fan was that he didn't have to win with the sharpshooter. And this was still at a time where wrestling finishers were like kind of like up in the air. Even you look back at early Stone Cold, he's like busting out the Stone Cold Stunner and then still wrestling for 5 minutes. It wasn't until I think the late 90s where, besides like maybe like the Hogan leg drop or the Macho Man elbow drop, finishers were kind of like undecided by a lot of people. Even Shawn Michaels, early Shawn Michaels, he's throwing the super kick like crazy and it's not completely winning matches. But Bret Hart, to me, always felt like he could win with almost anything. He didn't have to win with a sharpshooter. And that's why I loved when he won the King of the Ring, where he beat, Razor Ramon, Bam Bam Bigelow, Papa Shango. He beat everyone with a different move. And that's what I always loved about Bret Hart. So that's why I always like playing him with Revenge. But I think I like playing him in WrestleMania 2000 more because here I'm trying to win with the sharpshooter, obviously, because I'm facing Stone Cold. It's the CAW video, but I was playing around with him, and when I win with a Schoolboy, when I win with a Credo, when I win with his, rolling, pin counter, I don't feel bad like, oh, I didn't win with the sharpshooter, because, like, believably, Bret Hart could beat you with almost anything, and that's what I always loved about him watching growing up. It's something I kind of miss in wrestling today. In wrestling today, yeah, everyone's got their finishers, and that's great. But, now we're at a point where people are hitting multiple finishers, and they're still not winning the match. And I kind of liked being surprised where it was like, oh, they won that match right there. And it wasn't always a Schoolboy or a small package, but, just believable moves that, you would see Bret Hart kind of work on a body part or work on a certain thing or catch someone off guard, and then he finally was able to pull out the win. It made him believable because it wasn't like he was like this super dominant, unstoppable champion with an unbeatable move. He was a very smart, very talented wrestler, which is why it was so hard to beat him. I don't know if there's a champion that we've had in WWE and a lot of other organizations even that we can say that about, that someone, it's like, Okada is probably sort of the closest, but he still has his Rainmaker, which is devastating, but who knows. Let me know who you think is like the modern day Bret Hart, because I kind of have trouble thinking about it in terms of, when it comes to being such a well-rounded wrestler and believable champion that can beat you with almost anything with just solid skills. But yeah, there's my Bret Hart call. I love Bret Hart, one of my favorites. I didn't even get to talk about his feuds with Owen, but you know what? I guess that just means I have to make Owen Hart to talk more about the Bret versus Owen feud. But let me know what you think in the comments below. You've been on YouTube before. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my playlist for WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy, Revenge, all that stuff. I hope you enjoy this. Until next time, I am Be Better Gamer, and keep watching all the wrestling.